Good morning. And welcome. Welcome to worship with the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ventura. And it's going to be an interesting morning. Thank you, all you intrepid souls, for arriving here in person. And thank you, all you maybe wiser people out there in Zoom land. I'm so glad that you are here too and taking care of yourselves, everyone. One of the things that is going to be most interesting today is that our guest musician, Zach Spencer, has not arrived. And of course, our music director, Carolyn Bierke, is the one who has his contact information. She is out of town. And so hold good thoughts for Zach. My fondest hope is that nothing is wrong, and that maybe he is sleeping in, and he will wake up and feel terrible, right? But that will be just fine by me at this point. So we are going to find our way through all of this together, and we've got some choir members here, and we're going to sing some songs, and we pulled out an audio recording, and it will be just fine. And it's all going to be a little bit different, impromptu, little bit impromptu. So, welcome. I am the Reverend Dana Worsnop, minister of this intrepid, fun, and engaged congregation. We gather to keep love at the center of our lives and the way we move in the world. And it is good to see you all, no matter how you got here and, you know, which puddles you had to drive through or the puddles you may drive through on your way back, ride through, roll through, dance through, skip through, whatever. We are a community of many beliefs, identities, origins, sexualities, and genders, and everyone is welcome here, in person, online. Welcome. We preface our services acknowledging that our building rests on the unceded ancestral homelands of the Chumash peoples, and so we take a moment to pause and remember. Remember that the ground we live on is sacred, and it is ground that cries out for justice and our responsible stewardship. And so may we then find the courage to do our part to restore wholeness to the earth and to all of her peoples. A couple of announcements. First, the congregational conversation on our budget is after church today. You can go out and get bagels and coffee, and at about 11:30, come back in. It is on Zoom, so Zoomers, stick around, and we will get everybody's questions figured out through that. Also, our green room gallery, which is straight back that way, and you will recognize it because the walls are green. It has a new exhibit of artwork, so come by and marvel at the creativity of members of this congregation. Also, it was so popular the first time, there is another session of studying Toni Morrison, which is dedicated to reading
This one is muted.
By Toni Morrison. It begins on Saturday, February 24th, from 10 to 12:30, and will last for 5 sessions. Once again, Ryan Schumacher and Susan Franzblau are going to use an experiential approach and connect race, class, and gender issues through reading of this book. Only 15 people. It's limited to 15 people, so be first on the list, or 5th, or 14th. And next Sunday after church, there will be an informational meeting about that in the West Alcove. Also, I am having hip replacement surgery this Tuesday. Not a moment too soon. And so I will be taking off two full weeks and then easing my way back into full-time work, probably for another 2. And so I am well cared for and I'm well prepared. I am grateful for everyone's support and caring, and I will see you on the other side. Also, we do thank the folks who are seated in our masking only section by the windows for respecting that protocol. And you might, if you go into coffee hour, you might drop by the television screen and check and talk to some of our Zoomers, because we have that capacity now. And then everybody come back to Zoomers stay on. People come back into Berg Hall for that conversation about the budget. And if you are new among us and you want to see kind of how we organize ourselves, you're welcome to stick around at the budget meeting. I know that's what you came to church for this morning. Okay. We gather each Sunday in all of the ways we are able because we need each other. Because community enlarges us and something holy arises. So let us once more enter sacred space.
I'm Worship Associate Sandy Atkins. We invite those who are Zooming or streaming into this service to light a chalice or a candle at home as Reverend Dana lights the chalice of our free faith here in the sanctuary.
We begin this morning with words that I wrote about a decade ago. I want to share them with you again. It is titled, I Want to Be with People. We need not think alike to love alike, wrote 16th century Unitarian Francis David. And when speaking of this faith, people often say that they have found a community of like-minded people. And I know just what they mean. And I know they are also not getting it quite right. I don't want to be with a crowd of people who think just like me. I want to be in a community where I don't have to think like everyone else to be eligible for salvation. I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, truth, though they have different opinions about all sorts of things. I want to be with people of good heart. People who have many names and no name at all for God. Who see in me goodness and dignity. Who see also my failings and foibles, and who still love me. I want to be with people who feel their interconnection with all existence and let it guide their footfalls upon the earth. People who see life as a paradox and don't rush to resolve it. Who are willing to balance on the tightrope that is life. Who will help steady me when I wobble or limp. Who give of themselves, who share their hearts and minds and gifts. I want to be with people who let church call them into a different way of being in the world. People who support, encourage, and even challenge each other to more ethical living. Who are willing to be uncomfortable trying to get there. Who inspire one another to answer the call of the Spirit. Who covenant to be honest, engaged, kind. Who strive to keep their promises and hold me to my own. I want to be with people who know that human community is almost always warm and generous, often challenging, sometimes exasperating, and almost always a grand adventure. In short, I want to be with people like you. Come, let us worship together. And because we have no accompanist, Sue Brinkmeyer, member of the choir, has agreed to plunk a couple things out and lead us a cappella in our first hymn, and they're all familiar hymns to us, regular attendees, and Sandy and I will also and do our best to lead this music. Woohoo! Singing together.
Please stand and body your spirit as you are able and join us all in singing joyfully this song. Come sing a song with me. Here we go. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Yay.
You sounded grand.
And now we're in the part of our service where we ask the children to come forward for a story. This is my first time doing it, so it should be fun. We were going to lay out shawls. When you hear the story, you'll know why. But we figured we needed them today. Okay, this is called the story blanket. So here's the story blanket. It's by Farida Wolf and Harriet May Savitz, and it's illustrated by Elena Odriozola. Deep in the snow-covered mountains was the tiny village where Baba Zara lived. The children loved to settle down on Baba Zara's big old story blanket to listen to her stories. One day, Baba Zara noticed there was a hole in Nikolai's shoe. No hole. No Nikolai here. When the children left, she decided to knit Nikolai some nice warm socks. But so much snow had fallen that winter that no one could get through the village to deliver wool. How could she knit socks without wool? Every question has an answer, said Baba Zara. I just have to think of it. She poured herself a glass of sweet tea to help her think. Before she had taken 3 sips, Baba Zara knew what to do. I will unravel a little of the story blanket and use the wool for Nikolai's socks, she said. Late at night, when everyone was asleep, Baba Zara trekked through the snow and left the socks on Nikolai's doorstep. Soon after, the postman found a scarf wrapped around his mailbag when he left to start his morning rounds. Do you know who made it? He asked everyone he met. But no one did. The schoolmaster was surprised to find a pair of warm mittens on the woodpile when he brought in wood for the school stove. Before long, the grocer was wearing a new shawl instead of the moth-eaten one she used to have. The children had to sit closer on the blanket when they came for a story. Day by day, the villagers grew more curious. Baby Olga received a mysterious new soft blanket, and the butcher showed off the fancy woolen cap that covered his shiny, bald head. The children were now squashed together on the very small story blanket. The confusion grew when the tailor's scraggly cat suddenly showed up purring and grand in a snug cat coat. But there was no blanket left to sit on at all. The villagers asked the mayor to help them solve the mystery. You know what Baba Zara always says. Why am I assuming the mayor's a guy? You know what Baba Zara always says, the mayor replied. Every question has an answer. When the children saw the socks, the scarf, the mittens, the apron, the shawl, the cap, the baby blanket, and the cat in her coat all together, they shouted, "It looks like Baba Zara's old story blanket." But she doesn't have it anymore, said Nikolai. Aha, said the mayor. Baba Zara used the wool in her blanket to make these. Now it's our turn to give Baba Zara a surprise. So, while Baba Zara slept, a few rows of wool were unraveled from every blanket in every household and left on Baba Zara's doorstep. Baba opened her front door in the morning. She had never seen so much wool in so many colors, and on top of it was a sign, "For your new story blanket." The next time the children went to Baba Zara's for a story, there was a colorful new blanket to sit on, and a story about a village where everyone shared with each other. As she hugged the children goodbye, Baba Zara noticed a hole in Alexandra's sweater. She wanted to knit Alexandra a surprise, but the snow was still on the hills, and no wool was to be had anywhere in the village. Baba Zara knew every question had an answer. She looked at her new story blanket and smiled. That was a good story. Let's sing our children out to their RE cresses. If you'd rise and face the center aisle and form a bridge of love for our children to pass under. If you're new, just follow along.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
So mystery solved. Our guest musician, Zach Spencer, is on the email list for Unity Church of Ventura. And they canceled their services this morning. And so he got confused and he thought we were canceled. So he is home safe, which is good. Good. So. So each Sunday, this congregation gives away our collection to an organization in the larger community or to funds that help people in our own church. Those of you who are at home have two ways to give: through a link that will be posted in the Zoom chat or by texting from your phone. Those here present can text to give to the number, or you can still write a check or give cash and then drop it in a basket in the back of the sanctuary, straight back that way, after the service, if you would wait. Our offering today goes to Buddy Nation to take care of the animal friends that make such a difference in the lives of our neighbors who are struggling through the world without a home. One of the pets who needed Buddy Nation's help recently was Mama, a sweet, middle-aged pit bull. She is the emotional support dog for Mark. And 3 months ago, Mama was hit by a truck and got a really bad gash on a leg that required immediate medical attention. But without a car, Mark couldn't get her to the hospital. He called Buddy Nation in a panic, and one of their volunteers not only drove her and Mark to the pet emergency hospital in Thousand Oaks, but also was able to pay the $600 to cover initial care. The Buddy Nation volunteer stayed and made sure that both Mark and Mama made it home safely. And Buddy Nation's ties to Buena Vet Hospital also allowed Mama to get regular weekly care. The dedicated volunteers at Buddy Nation are able to jump in and help when people like Mark call with their pets in need, themselves and their critters in need. And because of donations like this one today, it makes it all possible. And so thank you for giving generously, as you always do. So now would be the time that we'd hear some music while people were texting and doing the things. Call the offertory, because it goes with the offering. And today we're just gonna move right past that. And to say that we are so very grateful for the generosity of this congregation, which weaves a tapestry of love we call community, kind of like a story blanket. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Now is the time in our service when we hold up the great joys and sorrows that grace our lives. We place stones in water for both the celebrations and sorrows in our hearts, making ripples that are felt throughout the community. You can submit a joy or I'm doing this because my hands are cold. You can submit a joy or sorrow for sharing via a link on the website, uuventura.org, or a link in our Thursday email bulletin, UUCV This Week, which newcomers should sign up for. Those received by 8 o'clock on Saturday night will be shared that Sunday. I invite you now to speak into the gathered community or write into the Zoom chat the names of those you wish to celebrate or memorialize, or those in need of the loving embrace of this community. Please feel free to continue to add to the chat even after the silent pause has ended. Reverend Dana will now place one final stone in the bowl for all the joys and sorrows yet unspoken in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. May we be truly grateful for all that is our life.
Please remain seated as you join in singing our meditative hymn, We Would Be One. We would be one as now we join in singing our hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other to show to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning of who's our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves in greater service with love and justice, strive to make us free.
Our reading this morning is from Emergent Strategies by Adrienne Marie Brown. A little definition. Emergence is the way complex systems and patterns arise out of a multiplicity of relatively simple interactions. The core principles of emergent strategies are: 1, small is good. Small is all. The large is a reflection of the small. Change is constant. Be like water. Be like us this morning. There is always enough time for the right work. There is a conversation in the room that only these people at this moment can have. Find it. Never a failure, always a lesson. Trust the people. If you trust the people, they become trustworthy. Move at the speed of trust. Focus on critical connections more than critical mass. Build the resilience by building the relationships. Less prep, more presence. What you pay attention to grows.
I invite you now into a time of meditation and contemplation. Place your feet on the floor if you're comfortable doing so. Close your eyes if you wish, and breathe. Noticing your breath both as it inspires and as it respires. Take your time now and breathe. Take time. Trust. Be present. Pay attention. A silent meditation.
I said, Julian, you are holy, you are holding my hand. And Julian, you are holy, you are holding my hand. She said, all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. I said, Julian, do you not know about sorrow? And Julian, do you not know about pain? And I said, Julian, do you not know about hunger? And Julian, do you not know about shame? But she said, all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. I said, Julian, do you not know about sorrow, and no one does not know about pain. She said no one does not know about hunger. No one does not know about shame. And she said all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. She said no one does not know about loneliness, and no one does not know about disease. She said no one does not know about cruelty. She said I know it's too much. It brought me to my knees, where I heard all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. I said, Julian, you are holy, you are holding my hand, and Julian, you are holy, you are holding my hand. She said, all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. And she said, baby girl, do you not know about tenderness? She said, baby girl, do you not know about friends? And she said, baby girl, do you not know about the Spirit? She said, baby girl, do you not know it's only love that never ends? And so all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well. And so all will be well, all will be well, all manner of things will be well.
The words, weaving a tapestry of love we call community, are not original to me, though I brought them here, I think. I learned them at my first church in Oakland, California. Written by those ministers, perhaps, yet they apply to lots of churches, congregations, sanghas, temples, and more. Though I first went to church for community, I really didn't know at the time what that could mean. Yet finding that community changed my life. Somebody recently asked me about how it was I became a minister after 2 previous professions. I was a journalist and then a teacher in elementary school. And here is the basic thumbnail. I was born, I realize now, a seeker. Though I raised by an atheist mother and an agnostic father, I never thought what I was seeking was spiritual. First, I sought personal growth, to address depression, to understand myself, and hopefully, and I did, become a happier person. It was all helpful and healing. Then in my 30s, I took classes in a martial arts school, honestly looking as much for a boyfriend as for any physical discipline. The martial arts never replaced soccer for me, though it did introduce me to Buddhist thought and practice. My first meditation retreat was a revelation, and I finally saw my search as spiritual. I looked for companions for this new journey. Now, Buddhists do have community, the Sangha, though I'm a bit of a talker. And the Sangha sits around in silence a lot. So a friend told me about the UU church she had started attending. And she read to me from a little card that I didn't grab from out front, but we have, and I'm going to grab it after the service. And it's called 10 Things Commonly Believed Among Us. Here are 5 of them. We believe in a search for truth. With an open mind and heart, there is no end to the fruitful and exciting revelations that the human spirit can find. We believe there is no fundamental conflict between faith and knowledge, religion and the world, the sacred and the secular. We believe in the worth and dignity of each human being. We believe in the force of love, which seeks to help and heal, never to hurt or destroy. We believe in the importance of religious community. Peers confirm and validate experience and provide a critical platform as well as a network of mutual support. And I thought, wow, I can do that one, and that one, and that one. Who knew? I didn't know there was a church like this one. And this was in the mid-1990s, so I looked in the phone book. And I soon found myself at the First Unitarian Church of Oakland, and that was when my life changed. I had found home. And the rest is history. At my ordination in 2003, the Reverend Jan Eller Isaacs, one of the ministers in Oakland, California, Jan described my ministry as calling to others, come on in, the water's deep. And I've been inviting folks to dive deep now for 20 plus years. I had found a depth of spiritual experience that I didn't know was actually possible, and a depth of connection to my fellow humans, not like-minded necessarily, but like-valued people. And even I found a connection to that sense of holy beingness, which calls me beyond this individual mind-body phenomenon into an interdependent, interconnected caring for all of existence. Just wow. The call to worship this morning is one of my attempts to summarize what being a Unitarian Universalist in covenantal community can mean. This faith that changed my life gave me a sense of purpose and connection that I had not known was possible. And because of that, I get to be with y'all. People of good heart, with many names for holiness, who embrace paradox and walk with care on the earth and with each other, who let church and community call you into a different way of being in the world. This congregation is the fourth I have served. In my first settled church in Oregon, I actually thought I knew what I was doing. It wasn't exactly cocky, but just a little cluelessly overconfident. Now, 15-ish years later, I actually do know what I'm doing, maybe half the time, and it's amazing. And you all, who have created this amazing church community, have helped me grow in confidence, wisdom, and, yes, humility. For you all do church very well. God knows, not perfectly. Though a good church is good, at least in part, because it knows it is far from perfect. Human community can't be. It isn't supposed to be. We get ourselves into messes all the time. What marks a good church is that we do our level best to acknowledge the messes as soon as we recognize them, which may not be immediately all the time, and then we do what we can to sort them out. And one of the other key things that I love about Unitarian Universalism is that we and this tradition are adaptable to change. That kind of adaptability, evolution, even transformation rests at the core of who we are, right alongside of putting love at the center. And we are currently living through changed and still changing times. This was so before the pandemic, though that lovely event showed it all the more clearly to us. So what is good church in the 21st century? We're figuring that out now. As we go along, I have always loved Indiana Jones. I don't know, I'm making this up as I go along. And I suspect that the 21st century effective, good, meaningful, deep church looks like what Adrienne Marie Brown would call an emerging community, where complex systems and patterns arise out of a multiplicity of relatively simple interactions. Those relatively simple interactions are all over the place. And something emerges from them all. At our best, we can be guided by her emergent strategies. Small is good, small is all, and the large is a reflection of the small. Change is constant. There is always enough time for the right work. There is a conversation in a room that only those people at that moment can have. Find it. Never a failure, always a lesson. Trust the people. If you trust the people, they become trustworthy. Move at the speed of trust, which usually isn't as fast as we want it to be, right? Focus on critical connections more than critical mass. Build the resilience by building the relationships. This one speaks to my emergent, divergent self. Less prep, more presence. And what you pay attention to grows. And I'll add a line from one of my favorite hymns. We would be one in living for each other to show to all a new community. May we be that. We are that. You are that new community every day, every Sunday. And let us continue to grow into that. One of the things that the pandemic re-taught us is indeed the profound need for community. Since the lockdown, sociologists and psychologists have been especially worried about how it has affected our sense of community and companionship. Studies put the number somewhere between 30 and 60% of us who report being lonely. And that number seems to be growing by the ways they are studying this. They're looking at this. And a good church, like this one, is working against trends like that. It is about the small relationships that keep happening, the small connections that become larger and more complex and beautiful all the time. And those connections will always, all of us will always be lonely some of the time. But when loneliness turns to despair, places like this can be an antidote. The world's problems are bigger than any one of us, which can feel overwhelming and discouraging. We've all felt that. And yet when we band together, we still can't necessarily fix anything. Though I believe deeply that we have an impact. We have an impact that we might not even see in the immediate or medium term, and maybe we'll never, maybe it will play out in a long term we never get to see, and yet it still matters that we come together. We have come together in this congregation this very weekend. When the rain has been coming and the county, this storm crossed the threshold of when we need a foul weather shelter for our homeless neighbors and friends. This congregation, through our effort called Lift Up Your Voice to End Homelessness, people just answered the call. It was sent out and people said yes, and we are feeding and caring for people who are being brought in out of the rain and cold. We have also a moving in project so that when people come out of the rain and the cold and then finally are placed in permanent housing, we help furnish the new home. We have an environmental action team that comes together and bit by bit, relationship by relationship, action by action, do what we can to raise awareness and address. And then there are so many small groups that we have in this congregation. Breaking news, you heard it here. Singing is good for you. Singing with others may even be better. So come to church and sing with other people, which we've done magnificently this morning. And then, I'd actually invite any one of you to come forward and join the choir. I'm sorry that neither Carolyn nor Zach are here, but we've got a lovely choir and you can sing with other people and improve your health, because It is scientifically proven. There is, according to this article, a growing body of research that points to the physical and mental health benefits of singing with others. Singing in a choir, particularly, they acknowledge that people sing in churches, but they're also looking at choirs specifically, these studies. Singing in a choir is linked to reduced stress hormones and serious illness. Studies have found that a connection between singing generally with lessened anxiety and stimulated, that sentence doesn't work entirely. So, singing lessens anxiety and stimulates memory in people with dementia. It also increases lung capacity and can actually ease postpartum depression. It's everywhere. Singing groups such as choirs support the total growth of the human being, says Stanley Thurston, who founded the Heritage Signature Chorale in Washington, D.C. Choirs are large families, he says, and singing in them promotes social bonding, which contributes to a sense of belonging and joy. And research bears this out. Group singing fosters trust, cooperation, and social cohesion. It builds meaningful relationships. And I know that not everyone can or really wants to join a choir. And I suspect that this is true. These effects are also true simply about singing hymns together on a Sunday, so you already have improved your health today. But also, I think these relationships and the emergent complexity of human existence happen whenever we gather. And there are all kinds of smaller groups in this church. And so I invite you, again, to come to a Saturday Buildings and Grounds work party. You know, there is something about singing together, but there's also something about raking leaves side by side, right? The side-by-side part is so important. Or you could check out our humanist group, or one of our book groups, or one of our men's or women's groups, or the environmental action team, or Lift Up Your Voice to End Homelessness, and then come to church on Sunday and sing. Maybe then sing along with Don't Fret, our ukulele band, who sing at coffee hour on many Sundays, though I think you're probably not this Sunday because of the budget meeting afterward? Yeah. Okay, so we're all gathering to, talking about budgets together improves your health. That was a good, thank you for laughing, and it might even be so. You get the benefit of community in it all, and community does combat what some are calling an epidemic of loneliness. And that is part of what we do here. And you all do church very well. I want to just step out for a moment about this and hold up the people hold up Sue, who, because this is also what happens in community. Okay, somebody doesn't show up, we're going to find our way through. And so Sue said, I'll hit some notes on the piano and sing. And y'all did great. We've got one more good one coming. One of our favorites is coming. And then I love serendipity. And in preparation for the surgery, a dear friend suggested that I listen to Will Be Well. And I know Meg, she's a UU minister, and I've known her for years. And I love that song. And then I started playing it, and I thought, wow. And this was, about 10 minutes to 10. And I said, can we do this? to the crew that's in the back, you can't see them. We've got 3 or 4 people in our tech room each Sunday putting all this stuff together and making sure that it gets out there on Zoom and YouTube. And they said, yeah, we can do that. And they did. And my heart was healed, a tiny bit healed. And I hope you all felt, all will be well. It's awful out there often. And yet, love never ends, and the possibility for wellness is ever present. So all will be well. All manner of things will be well. And this community teaches me that over and over and over again. It is a community that is worthy of your generosity, your giving of time, talent, treasure, and last-minute tap dancing. It is worthy of your friendship and devotion to the church and to each other. Community is good for your health, happiness, and wholeness, and it makes a difference. Even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment, it makes a difference in so many lives, and it changes the world. For we are all in this together on this on our beautiful blue boat home, this earth that we share. And what a gift, such companions. Such companions on this ship. May it be so. Please join me in prayer. Holy beingness of many names and no name, tapestry of love that weaves community in place. Spirit of life, which dwells within and among and beyond us this day and always. May we always remember we are in this together. We need each other, and we have each other. In the fullness of our humanity, in the midst of a changing world, may each and all here and beyond these walls thrive and flourish and reach out in care and love to one another when we are celebrating and when we are sorrowful. May we be here for one another. And may all those who are ill find healing. May those who are in despair find hope. May those who are without shelter find home. And may all those suffering war and conflict throughout the world, may we know peace. Amen. And blessed be.
Please rise in body or spirit as you are able, and join me in getting healthier as we sing together our beautiful closing hymn, Blue Boat Home. Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from a rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known, the wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun sun my sail and moon my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, the making our way by the lights of the heavens, in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Please join me in reading the words on the screen as we prepare to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. Those we carry into our lives until we are together again.
So everyone is invited for quick coffee hour, coffee, bagels, tea, and conversation in our social hall, Berg Hall. And get a bagel, do what you know, and eat it fast. And then come back at 11:30 for our congregational conversation on our budget and finances, where we stand mid-year, which will also be on Zoom. I leave you and Kathleen McTeague. Into this home, we have brought our hunger for awakening. We bring our compassionate hearts and a will toward justice. Into this home, we bring the courage to walk after hard losses. Into this home, we bring our joy and gratitude for ordinary blessings. By our gathering, we bless this place. In its shelter, we know ourselves to be blessed, and may we return the blessing. Go forth in peace, go forth in love, go forth singing. May it be so.